married to a developer. Catherine and her daughter Jillian are very involved in real estate and downsizing and all this whole senior thing. And but Jillian's husband is a builder, and he just built like a little neighborhood of like 10 townhomes where they share the wall, and they're all for downsizing people, the aging population to downsize. Like, here's the perfect next step for you at 65, 70.
It's very close. I looked at them.
Before my mom moved in with me, she actually lived in a patio home that we bought for her.
Yeah.
And it's right over by me. It's at 64th Street and McKellips. And I'm the president of the HOA. It's sort of like on the other side of Alta Mesa, basically, yeah. And I'm the president of the HOA of this 55+ community, and that's everybody downsized into these little patio homes. It's just the easiest thing to do.
Home.
They're so easy to upkeep.
Here we go. Can you get up on that mic for me so you're closer? Yeah. So welcome back, everyone. We're still talking to Facebook land throughout the whole show here, and when we go to a break, we start learning so much more. But I want you to talk a little bit more about some of the questions. Now, we've been talking about Bob, and I want people to know who Bob is again for people that might just be tuning in. Go ahead.
My wife has a new man in her life, and his name is Bob. And as a result of an AI class that she and our daughter Molly are taking on using artificial intelligence as part of her marketing and how to grow your brand and all this kind of stuff, Bob has become her new best friend. So we asked Bob some specific questions about what are people looking for as they're exploring challenges of aging with their parents or loved ones or maybe their spouse. And so that's what we're talking about today.
And
thanks, Bob.
Some of these questions that Bob came up with, I already knew. So
well, right, because Bob is supposed to be in our minds already, right?
Exactly.
Bob
Yes,
is supposed
he
to
is.
be. Yeah, Bob. AI is supposed to be telling us what we really want to know, right? So they came up with 25 or actually 29 questions that people are asking when they're starting that sort of thinking about their parents getting older thing. And so we're just going through some of those.
Let's go through more.
Knowing that your listeners are interested. So let's see, what do we want to talk about? Do we want to talk about in-home care as opposed to assisted living?
Yeah, I would love to talk about that because I think, again, people get a paradigm in their head about what in-home care. I don't want anybody in my house, and I bang into that when I offer it up as a solution or an opportunity. And so I think it would be really great to paint a picture, and then maybe we'll contrast that about what people's paradigm is, Carol, to senior living when they're moving that direction, what the fears or the paradigms people are challenged by. But as people you walk in and do an assessment and you start to lay out what it would look like to have a companion or a caregiver, I think it's probably real different than what is already in their head.
I think definitely. So I think when people think of senior care, they think of assisted living, and so they're thinking of in-home care being an in-their-home version of assisted living, which really couldn't be further from the truth, other than the fact that it's there to keep them safe, right? And so what we do at Senior Helpers is we send caregivers into people's homes to help them with anything from things like laundry and light housekeeping, or maybe driving to appointments for folks who don't drive anymore, things like that, even playing cards or doing art or anything like that, all the way up to some of the more complex care like bathing and dressing, going with them to the doctor's appointment and taking notes for the family. We do a lot of Alzheimer's and dementia care. We do a lot of care for Parkinson's and other chronic conditions. And the really interesting thing that people don't realize usually when they first call us is the client who utilizes us the least utilizes us for 4 hours once per week.
And that's nothing.
Yep. Nope. That's like going, common things to do in 4 hours once a week would be get hair and nails done. So we'll drive our client to get hair and nails done. While they're doing that, we're picking up their medication from the pharmacy for them. Then we're coming back, picking them up, bringing them home. Maybe we're picking up some groceries, helping them get those put away. Sometimes we'll even get a couple meals prepared ahead of time in that 4 hours. It just depends on, how long we're out of the house. So something really as simple as that. And think about, for our listeners, your mom or your dad who either goes to the barber shop or get their hair done. They maybe go to cards with their friends, but they have to be able to get there. Maybe you're starting to have that idea that they shouldn't be driving, maybe because they've had an accident, or you're talking to them and they forgot how to get home, or whatever the case may be. if you're gonna start that conversation about not driving, you better come with a plan, because
Right.
this person's been driving for a good 60, maybe 70 or
Right.
even 80 years,
Right.
and you're gonna need to offer a
Right.
solution. So that's oftentimes when folks are coming to us early, that could be the little things that we're helping with, just to make a little difference in their life. Right, doing a little light housekeeping around the house, because pushing the vacuum isn't as easy at 85 as it was at 65 or 45, right? So those are the kind of things that coming in early and adding that little bit of support can give them some more energy, let them do some things that they like, re-engage with their friends. Maybe they have activities that they want to get to but don't drive anymore, or maybe they're too tired by the time the activity comes around from doing all the other house maintenance stuff. So that tends to be when people find us early.
I just gotta ask you, of all the people that start working with you like that, how many of them love it? Like a lot, every single one of them. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, I want this.
Me too.
Well, I'm gonna be prepared, and I'm gonna call you early.
I would like someone to do my laundry here.
I would too.
I would, in fact, I have been guilty of finding somebody to do my laundry because it's not my thing. But, so to be honest with you, our client who utilizes us the least, our type of client, is gonna be 4 hours once a week. Almost never does it stay at that schedule. The reason I love that we offer that, and a lot of our competitors don't offer 4 hours once a week as an option, I like it because it lets us go to mom and say, hey, Senior Helpers has a 2-week trial period. You only are committed to 2 visits. Let's just see if you like it. If you don't like it, we move on with our lives, and we either do nothing or we do something else, right? And it's a very low barrier to entry. We're not talking, and this is what I think probably, Scott, you talk a lot about. We're not talking about the forever plan. We're just talking about the for now plan.
That's right.
Right? Like, we don't need to talk about what it's gonna look like, or it's gonna be this way forever. An assisted living facility has a
I
one
like that.
month lease.
Exactly.
The
I would
for
tell people.
now plan.
Yeah.
I wrote it down. I really like that.
And our actions, I think, for both of us, however we're guiding families, is still predicated on, like, there's some safety issues, or there's something objective going on that I can point to. I don't wanna shame mom for getting lost a 3rd time in her car, but if I could say to my mom, you had to call me 3 times in the last 30 days, I'm gonna get a transportation and a companion to take you to get your hair cut. I'm gonna take you to get those. So like you said, if you're identifying a problem, then you're bringing a solution to the table, but it's based on something is impacting your safety. So if we take care of the safety thing, mom, you get to stay home longer, and we can continue to meet your objective, mom, to keep your independence as long as we can.
And you're talking about safety, but we're talking about driving safety. But being at home
Has
is
its
probably
own.
the most dangerous place to be in besides the car. Because, you know, look at my ex-mother-in-law, when she fell, and, you know, she literally was outside when it happened, and so she dragged herself because nobody was around. She didn't have that thing around her neck, you know, to call somebody and say help, whatever. And she dragged herself and got all those sores. I'm saying that in the bathroom, we've talked about this, there's so many places where they can, in their own home, be so unsafe. And it's terrible when it happens, it really is, and it can get spiral being even worse, which we've dealt with that, or can hopefully be better.
You know,
And that's what they're doing.
it's interesting you say that, because part of what I'm sure Scott's done in the home, and what I do all the time in the home, is we're looking at the safety of the house. So sometimes the answer isn't more care, right? That's not, just because you have somebody in there 24/7 doesn't make the house safe.
Mhm.
So sometimes there's objective things we can change in the home, and what you're getting with either of us being in there, because we actually use the same assessment tool, what you're getting with us being in there is also an assessment of the home. And so we're looking around, and you know what, maybe they are safe to shower alone if they had a shower chair. And then if you have a shower chair, you know what else you need? You need the little wandy thing, because if you're sitting in a shower chair and you don't have a wand, it's like waterboarding, right? Like, we can't have somebody being slapped in the face with water. So we need to make those changes, but does the family know? So being able to do, have us come into the house and do that walk around, that safety assessment, and have us give our recommendations. The tool that we used is based on probably 25 years now worth of research data, with hundreds of thousands of seniors that have used it. And all our job is to give you the results. We can't tell you exactly what you have to do with those results, but it starts that conversation. Hey, mom, you know, maybe we should put a shower chair in here, or maybe we should not have you stepping up onto a bed that's, like at your
Really
belly
high.
button height or something. We, upstairs to your bed at a belly button height, maybe we should get the bed a little lower. And it just opens those conversations in an objective way.
Now, I'm gonna give out the information. Senior helpers have Valley-wide, they're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they're 5-star rated everywhere. You can check them out on their website, it's seniorhelpers.com. Put these numbers in your phone, please. And if it's you or someone that you know, 480-360-4141. Scott's with options for senior living. His website is optionsforseniorliving.com. 602-845-1320. A+ rated also with the Better Business Bureau. And Scott's, your service is a free service, right? But with you, it's a free service to have you come in and sit down and have that consultation and start off with that.
Yep, absolutely. The assessment is free, and we're able to just give you sort of a plan, like a blueprint, if you will, of how to move forward, some recommendations, then it comes down to you and your family making the decision of what's best for you.
I like it when they say, it's a plan for now. It's not necessarily gonna be forever, because you know what? It's not gonna be forever, because things change with seniors all the time.
All the time. When I ask them, a family member, and they wanna know what things are gonna look like 3 to 5 years if they're moving their mom into care, and I'm like, well, how much has things changed in the last 3 to 5 years behind? And I go, oh, I wouldn't, the mom's not hardly the same person. So I said, I don't have an answer for what's gonna look like in 3 to 5 years. We're gonna plan for it, we're gonna make it, we're gonna put you in a game plan, but it's always adjustable. Assisted living is a month-to-month endeavor anyway, so if for whatever reason you're in the middle of it, we've got an out button anyways.
You know what, almost every time you guys come on, we ask, well, what do we wanna talk about? You know what we talk about most every single time? Planning ahead.
Yeah.
And that's what they're telling you. That would make your life better and their life better as well. Hang tight, we're gonna be back in just a minute.
So I think we'd be remiss if we didn't use our last segment to at least partially talk about funding.
Yeah.
I think we should talk about everything from Medicaid to the VA to private pay to downsizing
Okay.
to be able to support the home
Yeah.
care
I
to.
didn't know all the things that the VA does for
It's
everyone.
unbelievable.
Until I was really talking about this with my mom, because my husband's
Grandmas.
grandfather is a Vietnam vet and trying to help him find something, and he's like, well, I have no money, and I was like, you were a vet, there's gotta be something through there. My mom's like, there's so much, here, look.
There's so much, and it's stuff that, and there's all these special programs, and I mean, it's actually kind of unbelievable.
Yeah, and what's
they won't
unbelievable
announce
is they
it,
don't know
but-
about it.
Well, it's believable in the sense that I'm not so sure they want to advertise it,
Because it's so great. Is that right?
because a lot of more
And then
people
a lot
take
more
advantage of
people
it,
like
if they
you
need
But
go.
that.
that's what it was there for, why shouldn't they,
Mhm.
right? I think that's terrible.
Like there's the family caregiver support program for anybody who has Parkinson's disease. The family member can get paid, and they can, any hours that they don't wanna work, we work, and that altogether they get 168 hours a week covered, so either the family's
Wow.
making,
168 hours?
uh-huh.
Oh, gosh.
So Parkinson's is a 100% service-connected disability, so Parkinson's and ALS. The issue with ALS is sometimes it moves so fast they don't get on the program in time. But Parkinson's is a great example of family caregiver support program, and so they need that designation. And I think there's still only certain diagnoses even with that designation. But yep, we've got folks that we care for like 80 hours a week. So we do 84, and the wife does 84, so she's getting paid at her rate for 84 hours because she's there all the time, and then the other 84 we get paid.
I almost wish that my ex would have been in the service.
Well, the money would have shipped off a lot, it probably would have sustained the marriage.
Maybe not, I don't know.
It's amazing what a little
It's
distance might
amazing
do.
what that is available to them, and us poor people that didn't do that, we don't have all of that luxury of that. And there's a lot of people like that now, you know, because some of the people that didn't serve because they didn't want to, right? You know, they didn't have to, so.
Right, and we are often guiding people to the aid and attendant benefit, which gives them an additional income so that they can afford or offset the expenses of like
That's amazing.
assisted or independent living. If they have to have care need, but once you demonstrate that, then they can pick up $2,500 a month.
And
There's
even
some
the
for
spouse,
even the
pretty good.
spouse, and if
That's really
the
good.
vet is not sick, but his spouse is sick, his spouse can get care, or if the vet is passed and the spouse needs help, then the spouse can get help too.
And it's the spouse that's married to
and
them
yeah,
at the
so
time, not.
at the time. So we really don't get, that doesn't get enough play. And there's a lot of vets that served during wartime, didn't see combat, but they're eligible for the benefit.
So welcome back. Now, just before we came back here, we were talking about what we're gonna talk about, and Tiffany said, you know, we gotta talk about funding. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest challenges, and probably your listeners who are sitting out there saying, yeah, this all speaks to me, I have stubborn parents, I wanna know, maybe my mom has dementia. They've heard everything else, but they're like, yeah, but what about the money, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what it sometimes is, that's gonna be a driving factor.
Mhm.
I mean, just realistically. So we wanted to just take a minute to touch on, different ways, creative ways that people have found ways to pay for care. Obviously, some people save their whole life, and I think that is the tiniest fraction of everybody, right?
Exactly.
That has just a ton of money sitting around waiting for
Just
care.
Being able to put aside.
But, right, so what are some of our other choices? So, one of the ones that we were talking about during the break that's just so underutilized is the VA. So every veteran, even if they've never been seen at the VA before, is eligible for care being paid for through the VA in a variety of different ways depending on their situation. And so the first one that we talked about was aid and attendance, and I'll let Scott chat about that in a minute. We definitely do that. That's a pension program that he'll explain. Our company, Senior Helpers, also works with the VA where we accept payment directly from the VA for a certain number of hours per week to help with supportive care in the home. And so that's their HHA program. So that's something that when folks call us, we always ask if they were a veteran. Like I said, never been seen at the VA, not a problem. We can help through that entire process. Most of our clients that have come to us as being veterans never were seen at the VA. They did their service to the country, they left, they got their civilian job, they had, Blue Cross Blue Shield or something, and they moved on with their life and they never needed the VA. And now is the time where you can go back and that could be really helpful in a number of ways. So one is the HHA program. The other thing that I think folks don't know is that there are certain diseases that are considered to be 100% service connected. And I'm not an expert, I'm not a veteran service officer or anything like that, I can't make recommendations, but just as something to look into, if there's Parkinson's disease or ALS, those are service connected illnesses, and even if they've been being treated without the VA, right, they can go back and get their service connected designation and get a substantial amount of support from the VA to help with home care costs or even in facility costs. And then do you want to talk about the aid and attendance, Scott?
Aid and attendance specifically for men or women, women who served during wartime, and there's very specific dates the VA is designated, but for Korea, Vietnam, and even the Gulf Wars and are included now. And so if they qualify, it's serving wartime, they had to be active duty, but they did not have to see combat. There's an income for the veteran, there's an income for his spouse, there's an income for them both. If the veteran doesn't need care, but his spouse does, there's income for her, and if he's deceased, assuming it's a gentleman, then there's an income for her as the surviving spouse. So this is a trust fund or a pension that was set up years ago to help guys in World War I. They're gone. The World War II guys are mostly gone. We're in the middle of the Korean War, and now we have Vietnam vets that are accessing the benefit now, and they're getting in-home care. They're getting help with support that way. They're getting their assisted living cost offset from the income. It's a tax-free benefit. It's a phenomenal benefit. I was just talking to a social worker last night with one of our hospice companies, and I said, hey, by any chance is Ron a vet? And she's like, yeah, I think he is, but he never wanted to do anything with the VA. I'm like, we can get him $2,500 a month. If he just tell him it's a federal benefit. Don't even tell him it has nothing to do with the VA, but make the application for Ron, because it'll make all the difference in the kind of the quality of the location we find for him. Yeah.
Right, just money that's just sitting out there waiting to be used. And in addition to any of the VA benefits, there's also the Altex program here in Arizona. And I have experience with that in the sense that my mother actually used that benefit. So she had a total of $1,200 a month income and no assets when she needed care, and we were able to get her on that program, and that helped her pay for her assisted living facility, and it was actually a very nice facility. So that's definitely an option that's out there. And then earlier in the conversation, we were talking about downsizing and how there's this benefit to, not having 3,000 square feet to take care of. There's also the benefit that if it's your primary residence and you sell your primary residence and downsize,
Yep.
most of that capital gains in most situations is probably gonna be protected.
Yep.
And so you're gonna have, you never touched your savings account or your stocks or the rest of your whatever there is. Just the money from moving into a smaller home and having a smaller monthly overhead and what you make downsizing could fund maybe even 5 years of care, being able to live in a smaller house. So there's so many creative ways that are out there that people have used to be able to fund this.
What I always say is you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of people don't know that any of this exists. And that's why having the consultation with them is so important, because, and don't go on Dr. Google, I don't care, even AI. I'm telling you.
Don't ask Bob, let us ask Bob.
Bob doesn't have as much experience, I don't care what he says, as these two folks. And I think it's really important when you're listening to these things, maybe it is you, maybe it's someone that you know, that's what networking is all about. Get these information from them and help you have a life that's much much more fun, I should say it that way, but also safer, right?
Yep.
And they're here to help, that's what they're here for.
Well, we want to give people the best quality of life, no matter what the direction we go. Along the same lines with how to pay for this, there's a lot of people that 20 or 30 years ago may have been sold what we call a long-term care insurance policy. And it's been sitting in a drawer since 1992 when they bought it. And what they don't know inside that policy, it's not just for one day when they leave the nursing home. There's actually benefits probably in there for what's something we call care coordination. There's probably benefits in there for something that pays for in-home care with Tiffany's company, as well as the placement at the assisted living or nursing home care benefits later. So we're starting a campaign with one of the local financial firms I've worked with for years. I talked to another one yesterday. He's like, oh my gosh, I've sort of inherited my dad's business. All of the clients are in their 70s because dad sold them all these products. And I said, well, what if we developed a strategy to talk to all of them about what's in those policies, how to unlock the benefits, how to make a claim. I'm not talking about moving them out. I'm talking about how to access
So
the
they
investment.
can use it.
They've already invested in it. Why not try to draw the benefit out of it, turn the premiums off, and then allow them to access it, and then they can get some care in the home and start that process of being safer, unlock a better life for them, all of it for the family.
And Scott actually said something very interesting about long-term care policies. Being able to turn off that premium. As soon as you use the policy, the premium stops in most cases.
Yep.
Okay.
So a lot of folks have been paying for 30 years that premium. They pay it monthly or quarterly or something. And some of them are not really that cheap, actually. So there's a portion of their income that's being held aside for that policy that now would be, they would have free to spend on something else, like care or maybe an activity they enjoy, right? So that could be another way to access those funds as well.
I think that's a good idea, though. People should take them out and dust them off, right?
Yep.
And find out, well, you might need some help in even reading them,
Well,
right?
they use interesting words that may not mean anything to anybody when they say things like activities of daily living or elimination period. The average person may not know what those.
What's that mean?
Yeah, what's that mean? So we can come out and interpret that for you and tell you what you've got in your policy that you already own, and then use it. I mean, turn it on if we can, so that we can start getting the benefit of the investment that you made.
The phone numbers to call are either 602-845-1320, or you can also call 480-360-4141. That is for Tiffany, that's senior helpers, and the other number is for Scott for options for senior living. And I love the way that you guys are all not just about, we gotta get them into a place, It's not about that at all. Love the way that this conversation went today. And I don't know what your final words would be out there, but let's go ahead and try and wrap it up a little bit.
Yeah, I would say planning a little early is not great just for your parent, but it's also great for the adult children, and we've all been there. It's a little stressful, it's a little emotional, and just having the knowledge, even if you don't make that an action item immediately, just having the knowledge might make you feel that much better.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Call before the crisis. I mean, that's just along with everything else. But I think that having a trusted go-to person is so important. And so when you're thrust into a crisis and you meet one of us, you don't know who to trust. But if we have these conversations leading into what might come later, you feel so much better. You've got the planning done, and you get the right person for you.
Plan ahead. That's what this is all about. Call before the crisis. That's what he just said. And if you listen to what you hear on these shows that we're talking about here, I'm telling you right now, there's so much information. It's great information. And I like to say this all the time. Networking is not who you know, it's not necessarily who you're talking to, but who you know. And you might know somebody that also might be in the situation. Please check them out on their websites. It's either seniorhelperswithan S.com or optionsforseniorliving.com.